Good afternoon. I'm Lucas Panzica from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. The Titans season and the Brian Callahan era opens Sunday at the Chicago Bears. The Lee Company countdown to kickoff hits the air at 9 a.m. Titans countdown starts at 11. Kickoff with Mike Keith, Coach Mack, and the rest of the Titans radio crew is at noon. Head coach Brian Callahan officially ruled out safety Jamal Adams and linebacker Otis Reese earlier today. In NFL news, the Steelers and tight end Pat Freiermuth agreed to terms on a four-year extension, worth $48.4 million. Also earlier today, Dolphins and All-Pro cornerback Jalen Ramsey agreed to a 3-year extension worth over $72 million, making the Nashville native the highest-paid corner in the NFL, making over $24 million per year. Tonight, Week 1 continues in São Paulo, Brazil. The Packers take on the Eagles. Kickoff at 7:15. Westwood One coverage on the Zone starts at 7. And tomorrow, number 14 Tennessee against number 24 NC State in Charlotte for the Dukes Mayo Classic. Kickoff at 6:30. Fall Network coverage starts at 4:30. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
It's a Football Friday here on Blaine and Zach on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. You can, of course, hang out with us on the F&M Bank Chat on Zone TV, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook Live. We have a loaded show to you today. We got some analytics talk at the top of the show. That's what everybody loves to hear. We got Courtney Cronin of ESPN and ESPN Radio coming on, talk some Chicago Bears. We're going to go behind enemy lines with her. And, of course, we're going to talk about the Tennessee Titans game. We're going to talk about the Chicago Bears. We're going to talk about University of Tennessee and NC State. We're going to be talking about it all. And, of course, stat of the day today, get your chance. It'll be your chance to get 2 tickets to go see Weezer at Bridgestone Arena on September 17th. One of the few people that nobody ever says I look like. Rivers Cuomo, the lead singer of Weezer, which the glasses.
Your favor?
Yeah. I mean, listen, all it takes for people to think I look like someone, Blaine, is dark hair and glasses. I look like anybody with dark hair and glasses.
I don't think so.
I don't know. I mean, looks.
We got to get detail. You know what? We got it. During the break, we'll do a face-to-face tweet out.
There you go.
You see if you guys look similar.
Get my face and get Rivers Cuomo face, and we'll put it out there. All right. So we got a lot to get to, but the last night was the first football game of the year.
Woo! It's here, baby.
It's here, and it delivered. It was a sloppy game.
Yeah, oh man.
Terrible offensive lines on both sides, in my opinion. But one team had a better offensive game plan than the other team, and one team had the better quarterback than the other team, and that's just how it goes sometimes. Yeah. And you sent me a question during the 4th and 3, if I'm not mistaken, 4th and 3 on the 50. And you asked what does analytics say you should do?
Yeah, you my expert, man.
And I liked it because it made me think a little bit, and because I wouldn't have personally gone for it. But analytics, so for those that don't know, a couple of these Twitter accounts and that work for ESPN or Fox Sports, they have a little bot. And this little program runs the numbers.
Yeah. Well, tell them the whole situation in the game.
Beep, boo, and I'm getting there. And they'll say, here's the situation of the game. Okay. Here's what it means. And you should go for it.
You sent me a bot in that bot. I couldn't work the bot. He said, I'm smarter than you, Blaine. Do not ask me a question.
I sent you the Ben Baldwin bot, which is on Twitter.
A bot. The bot was like, what are you asking me? You ding dong.
And it said that the Ravens were down 3. 4th and 3, 50 yards from the end zone. And it said it was a strong suggest to go for it. And if you went for it and you succeeded, you increase your win percentage by 2.8%. You go from 30.2 if you punted to 33 if you went for it and succeeded. And there's a 51% chance that you convert it. Now, we have talked a lot about analytics. We have talked a lot about the human element. And I told you, here's what the analytics say. And I bet every analytics person in America said, well, that's what the bot says, so that's got to be what's right. And I said, I wouldn't go for it Because I'd rather have Patrick Mahomes drive the length of the field.
Yeah.
Because
me too.
And I think you have a better chance at stopping them at some point or getting the ball back or at least preventing a touchdown. Mm-hmm. And that's just kind of where I was at. What were your thoughts going through your head right there? And when they went for it, even though analytics told...
I thought they were further back. You said they were on the 48-yard line?
They were on the 50 yards. So they were 50 yards from the end zone.
I thought it was... But, I was thinking punt because you wanted to pin them back. If worst case scenario came out, it goes into the end zone, whether they spot it on the 30, 35 or whatever. But, just because you're going against an elite quarterback like him, the odds are in your favor that, at least make him earn it. And I think that's what you're trying to do in a game like this when you got really two elite quarterbacks, but Mahomes is on a whole nother platform, especially as a passer. So, and his play caller, Andy Reid, my former coach. So I thought the advantage would be just make them earn it. And maybe they'll make a mistake instead of giving them a short field, which I think you told me that the odds were way against you because I think it's almost 100% of the time that Mahomes scores. I did not know this at the time, not till today, that he scores anytime he gets it on the other side of the 50 in a turnover of some kind of form or fashion. So if I would have known all of that, even before that, I said I would have punted. And now after hearing all of that, I said I definitely would have punted. Now, it ended up costing them only 3 points, but still, I just wouldn't. So I'm just interested to see. I wonder how a coach, especially Harbaugh, who also was a special team coach there in Philadelphia when I was there with Andy Reid, before he got the head coaching job there at the Ravens. He's been there, 15 years or so, 14 years. So, yeah, I don't know. I think he was going to go for it regardless. I think he just felt like, in his mind, I kind of tried to think what he was thinking is that we're going to get it, and I'm going to keep the ball away from Mahomes. And so, which is feasible to think. I just think that early, I just wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't. That's why I text you and I said, hey, I wouldn't have gone for it there. And then your response, I wouldn't either. And then after you look at the numbers, for sure, I wouldn't have. So I don't know, coach is still going to lean on analytics. They're still going to go with what their gut is telling them, whether the flow of the game is telling them to do that or not. But eventually, you could say it cost them a game, but it really didn't.
No.
They still need to score a touchdown to win the game with a toe being out. But I didn't really like I thought it was sloppy with the refereeing as well as the alignments there. I think they were forewarned ahead of time. They were very inconsistent. It was sloppy. I do agree. I thought both offensive lines were horrible. I feel really bad for Derrick Henry, the king. He went from a horrific offensive line from the Titans to a bad offensive line there with the Ravens. That's not. He's not going to get to. He may not even make it to 1,000 yards if it keeps looking like that. You got to think they got to improve from there. He has 2 new guys, maybe even 3 guys.
They have 3 new guys on the line.
So
two of the guards,
and then
what
it
I've
looked like
heard,
the Titans
never played a regular season snap.
They look predictable every time he was out there. So he was running to brick walls most of the time. So I think he had 13 for 46, 3.5 yards a carry. He scored his touchdown, on it early on. So you thought it was going to be a nice little day. Didn't turn into that because once you get behind, just like when we were here, they get 10 points behind. Derrick Henry's a non-factor, and they have to put in a pass-catching, a versatile running back. And that's why I said that I always wanted a running back that are versatile and not a one-trick pony. Unless you are elite right now, Derrick Henry is a good player. He is not elite now.
He's now the guy that can be really good if the offensive line is good.
Yeah. So
he used to be the guy that didn't matter what the offensive line was doing, he would be good. So that just is the natural progression of players.
Yeah. But here's the difference. Here's how you know you're a good coach, and not to say Harbaugh isn't, but Andy Reid has evolved and he understood. They drafted a couple receivers over the last couple of years, Rice, who may probably get suspended next season anyway for, speed racing or whatever it was. He was a big proponent. Kelsey was just a good player now. You could see it. And we'll see after this game if he's more than that. But right now, even how he was running around, it didn't look like he was the difference maker. It was really the passing game and Mahomes. Mahomes will always be the trigger point because he's special, and he will go down. We could say it if we want to, but he's going to pass Tom Brady eventually statistically, and then winning 3 in a row, and then he'll keep playing, 5 more years, and he'll be the greatest of all time. And so we get to see it right here live and in action, which is really special. to see the things that he does out there. And, hey, man, it was a great kickoff for the NFL season. What a great game. And, hey, the Chiefs won again. And I don't think they were firing on all cylinders either. So it'll be interesting to see how both teams look maybe middle of the season, then towards the end of the season. If the Ravens don't get better than this, man, Lamar Jackson is going to miss some games. There's no way he's going to run around in the NFL because he's going to take some shots.
Well, there's a couple of things I want to hit on before we go to the break because I want to get off this game and talk about Titans and University of Tennessee and stuff.
Exactly.
But, when we're talking about what the numbers say about Patrick Mahomes, what the number says about this Kansas City offense, which is what I feel like last night's fourth down decision did not take into account, was that when they're inside the opponent's territory, past at the 50-yard line or towards the end zone, they score 59.3% of the time, touchdown or field goal, 59.3%. That's up 16.2% from 43.1% when they're backed up into the 30-yard line or their own end zone. So when they're backed up into that 30-yard line and the zero, pretty much, they are 43.1% walking away with a field goal or a touchdown. So 16.2% increase. But what's drastically different is that you can get Patrick Mahomes to either, and this Kansas City offense, to either turn it over, punt it, or go 4 and out, turn it over on downs. 49.2% of the time if you got him backed up.
Yeah.
If you got him in their 50-yard line or your own end zone, and they start the drive there, they only do those things 18.6% of the time. That is a huge difference. Yeah. They've only lost 3 fumbles and only thrown 3 interceptions, the Kansas City Chiefs offense, when they start a drive on the 50-yard line.
From what dates?
From 2019 to 2023.
Good Lord.
That's insane. So why I am just, to me, this goes back to a few different things just real quick. John Harbaugh gets caught up in trying to play Andy Reid's in the Chiefs style of game. He abandoned the run too quick. He did it at the AFC Championship game. He did it here in this game. And Derrick Henry is going to have to run out a shotgun if they want to disguise what they're doing. And Derrick Henry does not like running out of shotgun, but Lamar Jackson likes passing out. So the only way you can disguise what Derrick Henry's doing is putting him in a position that he doesn't like being in, that he's not been very successful in.
So they shouldn't have signed him then if they were going to do that.
Just saying, the hype over the Derrick Henry signing is going to be really great and going to look good when they're ahead. When they're behind, bye-bye. See, enjoy the bench.
Which, to a certain extent, the last couple of years was somewhat similar here with the Titans.
When we come back, we're going to talk about University of Tennessee and the NC State Wolfpack game coming up on Saturday. I'm Zach. He's Blaine. This is Blaine and Zach on 104.5 The Zone. It's NFL week, and FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, has a special offer to kick us off now through September 22nd. All FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. Just visit FanDuel.com/Zach. That's FanDuel.com/ZACH to download America's #1 sportsbook. Must be 21 and over and present in Tennessee. Full price of NFL Sunday Ticket will be automatically charged seasonally after free trial. No refunds. Terms, restrictions, and embargoes apply. Gambling problem? Call Tennessee Redline 1-800-889-9789. It's Blaine and Zach here on this Football Friday. I'm Zach and he's Blaine, and this is 104.5 The Zone, brought to you by All Four Seasons Garage Door, the Zone TV chat. We got a happy Friday from Ramon Foster. Ramon, Kayla, and Will's in there. The chat is active, talking about Derrick Henry, talking about the decisions last night. We got a prediction from Oscar Reed, 24-17, tighten up is his prediction for the game on Sunday against the Bears. Got a lot to talk about, a lot to get to. If you want to join the conversation, 615-737-1045. But Blaine, yesterday we had on Corey Smith of PackPride.com, and he talked about the 3-3-5 defense. Yeah. And the Tennessee Titans play NC State in Charlotte, North Carolina, at Bank of America Stadium.
Titans.
Did I say Titans?
Yeah, I think you just have it coming.
Dang.
That's okay. We got the Vols. We know
y'all know what I mean.
Yeah.
I've heard it pronounced both ways. Listen, Tennessee is favored currently by 9.5 points. The total over-under points scored is 60.5. But that 3-3-5 got you, if anybody was watching on the YouTube, which you should be over the F&M Bank chat, either on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook Live, when Corey said that the NC State plays a 3-3-5, you just had this like movement in your head, and I mean, like your eyes perked up, and it's like someone, you had a shot of coffee or something, and you just woke up. Yeah. Now, you brought up Austin Peay and maybe some of the troubles that Tennessee's offense had against Austin Peay.
It did.
Talk about what is the 3-3-5 first off. Let's just start there. Describe what the 3-3-5 is.
Well, I mean, it's just 3 down linemen and 3 linebackers. And then the 5 is you got these tweener guys that you don't really know if they're linebackers or they're safeties. Now, also with the 3-3-5, you don't know who that 4th guy is. Now, sometimes if they hit you right, they can get you, but on the other end, if you call the right play, you can get them. So there's going to be a lot of guesswork of where that 4th guy is coming from that's on the defensive line. So I would assume it. Only reason why I say that is because it brought a little, pause, because they had somewhat of an issue with that against Austin Peay, who's nowhere near as talented to me as NC State. Now that they faced it, already a couple years ago under Heupel and crew, I think they'll be a lot more prepared seeing it live. But it did bring pause, though, to say that they did have somewhat of an issue. And when I say that, I'm saying Austin Peay hung around way longer than people thought. Mm-hmm. They were around in the second half, the middle of the third quarter, if I can recall, a couple years ago, and then they kind of start pulling away because they got fatigued and they just didn't have the horses. And I'm assuming that's what's going to happen here. But I think now that they've seen it, it won't be as big of an issue. 9 points. I think Tennessee's going to beat them by double digits. When I say that, 14. I'm seeing 14. I may even push to 20 in my mind, just on what I think may happen. I watched NC State versus Western Carolina the entire game, and I wasn't impressed. Now, here's what happens sometimes when you're playing the lesser opponent. They may not have practiced any.
And that's kind of what it sounded like Corey alluded to, was like
about Western Carolina, because they were
overlooked Western Carolina
because they were prepared. Now, it's easy to say that after the game, and we don't know how much they look past them, but that is in Carolina. So there's some guys on that team that wanted to probably go to the Wolfpack and everything else. But they looked bigger and they were better. And then, after watching that game, I felt like, West Carolina just ran out of gas there at the end. I mean, in the fourth quarter, because they were still in the game and they were actually leading a lot of points in this game. Against NC State, which, and they don't have the guys. So I think it's going to be a game early. If I see that the Tennessee is prepared and ready for the 3-3-5, well, I think it's going to be, they're going to win convincingly. That's why I was saying that number. But if they don't, they still have too much power and the horses in the trenches on the outside. The way this offense and Nico keeps evolving, he's going to get better and his confidence is going to continue to grow. They think he did great there. Well, wait till you see what the opponent increases and he does the exact same thing. So I think they're going to win by 10 or more. That's the only thing about the 3-3.
If they don't win by 10 or more,
it's still not going to change.
Will it change your outlook on what you kind of think the ceiling for this team is?
No. It depends on how it looks for me in any game. Because sometimes the numbers don't tell you. What if they get a gimme touchdown at the end and all of a sudden it's under 9, it's at 8? Like
Yeah.
they won the game. So you got to look at the totality of what it actually looked like. Did they control the game? Were they really pretty much the better team the entire game? Yeah. So that's it. But if it goes down to the fourth quarter and NC State's right around the corner, I just don't think you don't want to be in that situation with this team.
Well, Corey talked about how the defensive back rotation and this defense, could present an issue for University of Tennessee and Nico. And I wanted to throw out a number for you. Is that so? Last year, the Tennessee passing offense, according to Sports Info Solutions, experienced 125 pressures. 67 of those 125, so 53.6%, came against a defense when they had 3 defensive linemen, 3 linebackers, and 5 defensive backs.
I like it.
So over half of their pressures came on that. 42.3% of the sacks that they experienced last year came on the 3-3-5 defense. And what's even more telling is that the rushing attack, it ain't just the passing attack, the rushing attack. 57.8% of the run stuffs, 3-3-5 defense. They had also their EPA dropped from barely breaking even against every kind of defense last year down to negative 0.038 per rushing attempt in EPA per play, expected points added for those that have not kept up with the show, that are new to the show, against 3-3-5 defense. So their yards per passing attempt drops slightly. Their completion percentage drops slightly. So this 3-3, now this is Joe Milton. So is that enough of an asterisk to say, like, okay, maybe this 3-3-5 isn't that big of a deal?
No, I think it is a big deal.
Okay.
I really do. I just don't know until we see Hypo and crew show that they are prepared for that now compared to then, and Milton making his decisions and what they were good or not so good, in that game. Because I think they came into that game not even prepping for them as well. And they're learning on the go. Coaching staff included as we go. We're not going to practice. We made a practice a day or two on them, and then let's keep it going. Whoever our second opponent is, we got to get ready for them because they just had more talent. It's just, it's a big difference. It was no different than playing, Chattanooga. They just, Austin P had a better scheme. And I think, NC State has better players than Austin P. So we shall see. And that's where I think Nico comes into play. I think he's a much more accurate and more polished quarterback at this point in time than Milton was at that time. So, I think they're going to beat them. I think they're going to beat them by 14. And I think and if they hit on all cylinders and they already have figured out what they're doing, I think it'll be more. I really do. So we'll see, though, because NC State impressed me. And I think they're tough and they are big and they have some athletes at every level. Especially that Concepcion guy, the receiver there. I know we're talking about the offense of UT's versus defense, but they have some players. They probably just don't have the depth that Tennessee has, so they can hang around. And if you let a team hang around, man, that's not good. Hey, and by the way, Grayson, what's his name, McCall? What's his name? They got the quarterback for NC State to transfer from Coastal Carolina. I think that's where it was. He did not look good against Western Carolina. He did not. I don't care what they say. I don't even know what his numbers look like. He was very inconsistent in this game. So if they get that, and I think they'll be able to make some plays. I don't care if it's linebacker, secondary, corner, or safety. When they say, "Oh, we're not sure how they look," well, they're gonna get tested, and I think they're gonna make some plays. So I think that's kind of the eliminating factor. I think they're gonna try to ball control a little bit. I think that's in their DNA, NC State. And then so that's what they want to do. Even that also helps keep it away from that potent offense of Tennessee. So running the football, but when they throw, they're kind of more conservative. They have some playmakers that can make guys miss and can beat you deep. So they, you can't fall asleep. So it's going to be competitive, but I think that Tennessee is just too much for them. It's just too much to handle with that no huddle, fast pace. It's like fast break offense. In basketball, I just think they have too much.
So when you play against a team like Western Carolina at the beginning, and you're making the adjustment to going from an unranked team to a ranked team, is there? It's kind of hard to put into words, but like, is there an extra pressure, especially considering that you came off that last game, you don't look really good against an unranked team. Now you got this is the game that you put the schedule together and you're like, this is the game we got to win to prove that we are the big boy with the big boys, and not that we are the people that could barely beat Western Carolina?
Man, it's really funny when all the media talk about this word of pressure. I don't think the athlete ever thinks it's pressure. Like, if you do, then you shouldn't actually be playing. The pressure is to go perform like you can, and that is having fun. Does fun and pressure go in the same box? No. So when you go out there, they're not thinking about the pressure. If they think about the pressure like a normal human being, okay, here's a good example. When you came to work today, did you feel pressure coming on air? This is what you do.
When the mic comes on, I feel nothing.
Right. So why do you think the athlete is different? This is what they do. They go to work, they lift weights, they practice, they watch film, and when the lights click on and it's time to kick that ball off, this is what I do. It's the same exact thing. The guy who feels the pressure, those are guys that don't make it, that have all the talent. There is some parts to that, but it's probably the same thing that works with people getting on air, doing radio, or any other profession you want to give an example to. So to me, the pressure, there is none. This is what you plan to be. I don't. It's hard for me to even rationalize that question when media ask about pressure for a player. Like, oh, the pressure's on Nico. Did it look like he was under pressure? And I know it was Chattanooga, but it still was his first start of a regular season game. There is still some form of pressure as everybody kept. Did he look like it was pressure? He just blew it out the water.
Yeah.
So now it's about, can you be consistent against a better opponent? That's the pressure that he wants to show. And in his mind, it never translates into pressure. It translates into, I'm about to show them that I am who they think I am and who I think I am. And I'll go here and do it consistently. Nobody's worried about the pressure. I mean, that was over when you got nerves.
Yeah.
Which you always want to have. If you don't have them, then you need to stop playing.
All right.
But pressure is a different animal,
Gotcha.
And I just don't think players think like that because they've done it for so long. It's now about going to have fun.
When you make the mistakes of miscommunication that they did throughout that Western Carolina game, where they kind of struggled with, passing stuff off and being on the same page, but it's against Western Carolina. Now you're going up against UT. How much of that can you really hammer out throughout the week? And when you're going to go up against a team that's going to keep you on your toes a little bit more, it's going to be more difficult with University of Tennessee offense. So, how can you spend that week preparing for this, or is it because they maybe spent 2 weeks maybe preparing for this game and they kind of let that slide? How much of those communications errors can you fix from Western Carolina to UT? Well,
I think Tennessee actually did a great job in scheduling. And when I say that is, the first game against Chattanooga was a scrimmage.
Yeah.
Right? So you're going to get some of those kinks out the way. This second game now is, I'm going to give it the term, you are playing in a more of a preseason game. Okay, you have the talent. Now it's about, let's fix the tweak so we can get really ready, put this thing in overdrive so we can get ready for the SEC. So that's kind of how I look at it. I don't look at it as about the opponent. It's never about the opponent. It's always about what you did in your opportunity and your execution. See, so if you're always worried about the opponent, that's the fan thought process. You can never worry about the opponent. All you can do is worry about your execution as a player. Did you do what you're supposed to do on each individual player from each position? And then all you can do then is, if you're, let's say, a wide receiver, is wait for them to throw me the ball and make a play. They don't throw me the ball, I turn around and block. So that's what you want to see happen. So now you want to see them execute at another higher level and be more consistent. Because the more they go down in the season, the tougher the opponent will be, and they will continue to rise up because of their talent level and their execution becomes more consistent.
So when you're watching this game, obviously the 3-3-5 defense could give them problems, but we're still looking for the Nico from last game. It may be the stats aren't as eye-popping or as efficient, but you're looking for the same Nico that is calm under pressure, right? That's the Nico. Right. If you start seeing him get flustered and all that kind of stuff, this game could maybe take a different turn. In your opinion,
what does flustered mean when you say
maybe
we may see
through? Maybe he gets sacked, 3 times,
but that's not
4
on him.
times.
But that's not on him.
But doesn't a quarterback kind of get frustrated and start seeing ghosts, or is that the whole thing just doesn't exist, the not seeing ghosts? Because that's what everybody says about Sam Darnold was like one of the guys that if you sacked him a couple of times, he starts seeing ghosts. He starts looking and not trusting.
What you're
what's in front
taking
of
is
him.
something that happened over a period of time as a young player. That has never even happened to Nico. So you can't say it once he gets sacked twice. Oh, he's going to start seeing go. No,
well, I'm
that
not
happens
saying that
over.
He will, but what if he does? Like, what if he's not as even kill as what we saw in the University of Chattanooga game?
You got to believe you go back to what you've instilled in him as a player.
Yeah.
So guess what? If you play in fear of any of those things you just suggested, then you need to get out of the profession as a player and a coach. That is just that. Do you know that never comes up at any meeting by a coach or a player ever?
They don't ever talk about, hey,
did I just say ever? Can you say ever?
That can't be true, though.
Nobody ever said that to Sam Darnold. Why did it happen? I don't think
anybody said it to Sam Darnold. Said like, hey, man, you're starting to see some ghosts here. You need to start getting this out of your head.
Here's why. What would that do to the player? How does that benefit him? Think about that now before you think about it. You say something. What benefit would that do if you say that to him? He is still out there. Now you're going to damage him even more. Why would you say that?
So
that's the media
it's
and everybody
like
on the
outside. Lose situation.
Right, so you don't say it.
So there's just no way of fixing it.
Right. No, you hope that in the next game that it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
That if he gets sacked, he won't see ghosts.
Yeah.
Because his fear that his offensive line will say, how about this? We could say Levis could have got that way for his putrid offensive line. Putrid. Why didn't he see ghosts? Did anybody ever say he saw ghosts?
I did.
Well, he didn't.
I don't think he did. It didn't look like he trusted anything, and he was constantly looking over.
Those are two different things.
I think those can be tied together.
No. Seeing ghosts is you felt like you felt something and you didn't.
There were a few times he did do that, though.
Well, yeah, but that happens in a game over a period of time if you keep getting hit, but he didn't do it on a consistent basis. Yeah, he did it 1 or 2 times. Man, I felt like the receiver's going to run deep by me, so I turned and opened my hips. But he didn't run a go. He ran a comeback.
Yeah.
That's the same thing. So those are misnomers by media that never happened to the athlete. You could say he saw ghosts, and those guys never make it. If they did, they never make it. They just don't.
Yeah.
Watch this. Troy Aikman got beat down to smithereens his rookie year. Or Peyton Manning, whoever you want to go to. Did they ever say he saw ghosts?
I have to say I probably was not listening to what the media said back when I was pretty young. I was too young for that.
Well, he led the league in interceptions, and it still holds true today, that record of interceptions. So what would you say, not seeing a down of Peyton Manning his rookie year, he threw the most interceptions his rookie year, what would you say he had?
Yeah. I would say that, he wasn't that good. And then he turns around, then he is that good.
See, exactly. You could have said he started feeling ghosts, too. If you watched every game and said he took some shots, so he was getting rid of the ball quick, threw to the other team. Yeah. See, you could have said that, too, there.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that his career's over if he starts seeing ghosts.
No,
it wasn't over for Peyton Manning.
Right. Well, that's what I said. Some guys, it's about getting hit.
Yeah.
It's not about ghosts. It's about them getting hit, and then maybe now they sped up their clock. It didn't have to be somebody was rushing. They sped up their clock because they're tired of getting hit.
So let me ask you this. So if he gets tired of getting hit or anything like that.
Did Levis get tired of getting hit last year? Because he got hit a lot.
I'm sure he did.
But did he start seeing ghosts?
I think he rushed a lot of stuff and moved out of the pocket way more than he should have. I think there was a lot of plays like that.
See, to me, when I hear
do I think that he did it on every play? No, I don't think that's to me. That's not what seeing ghosts is. Not seeing.
So give me your definition of it.
Mine is when you start getting some pressure on you, start getting hit, you start rushing a few of your passes when you shouldn't have to, and you start moving out of the pocket when you shouldn't have to.
And that's not seeing ghosts. That can happen every single game. Do you know that?
Yes.
That's not seeing ghosts, though.
I think when it happens at an abnormally large rate.
No.
So everybody in media has been using that term wrong, including analysts. Okay.
From an athletic point of view, when people start saying the quarterback sees ghosts, that means he was not getting pressure or hit. He is throwing the ball. That did not ever happen in the game.
Yeah.
He is throwing the ball quick because he don't want to get hit. That's seeing ghosts. So maybe our terminology on what ghosts are is two different things.
But that's what I'm trying to figure out here is because you got guys like, that have played the football that are on ESPN that will use that term.
Name one who said
Dan Orlovsky.
He didn't say they were seeing ghosts.
Yes, he did.
No,
I bet I can find a clip that says
pull
he
it
did.
up, please, during the break.
I'll try to look it up in the break, see if I can find a clip of a football person.
That's why he says that, because that's why he stayed third string in the league.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. So, I'm learning something. But for the most part, that is what the national media tells you. And guess what? Players are in the national media saying that.
Yeah, well, because there's nothing to say. Sometimes,
so here's what I want
people to do. Take half the things that you see in TV in any industry and do not believe it.
Okay.
Do not believe it.
Okay.
And that is worldwide true. We can go from politics to whatever you want to. Do not believe what's on that crap in TV daily. And by the way, and that means on X too. I used to open up the paper every day back when I played, because there was paper then, and I'd read the paper about the article about what happened in the game, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, this is an outright lie. And guess what that led me to do? Come on radio. I called the radio station, said, hey man, let me come on your show after the games every game, because I'm a truth teller. And that stuff was crap because they're trying to control the narrative.
Yeah.
So, and then the people who were speaking, name one of those. Half the people that's writing articles didn't even play. So what, they just going based on what somebody told them.
All right, listen, we are gonna. I'm learning a lot, and that's why I
Some
like.
Some people would believe that.
Yeah, I'd say, listen, I like to learn.
Ever see Ghost? You watched him?
No, I don't think he ever saw
now,
this.
see,
But
that's it.
He's a different breed.
But you said every time you get pressure, you hurry up and throw the ball.
No, I didn't say every time you get pressure.
No,
I said,
you
what if he does?
Not what if. You said
I said what if.
When the quarterback speeds up his delivery, you said that then that
what
means
if he starts seeing ghosts? What if he starts getting hit and starts seeing ghosts?
And that happens to every quarterback. As I said, that if you feel pressure all the time, you do speed up your clock. If you want to term it as ghosts, you can, but I don't.
Gotcha. Well, hey, listen, that's what we're here for. We're here to, we're here to provide different points of views. And I love it.
Oh, absolutely.
When we come back, we'll get to your phones. Bill in Lebanon's been holding on. He wants to talk about Nico. But when we come back, I'm Blaine. I'm Zach. He's Blaine. This is Blaine and Zach on 104.5 The Zone.
For many of you who have lived here a long time, you already know Eurofix has been in Middle Tennessee area for your European car repair needs now for 24 years, and we've all gotten to watch them grow. And I don't know about you, but I love watching a hometown business take off. Well, we're now proud to announce the 5th location in Mount Juliet for Eurofix on Mount Juliet Road, right across the street from Dairy Queen. And Eurofix can serve you from Franklin, Hundred Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and now Mount Juliet. Pretty cool getting to watch a small-town mechanic starting in the barn of a backyard of a single-wide trailer and now grow to 5 locations repairing thousands of cars each month. And at Eurofix, you get a 3-year nationwide warranty and a free loaner car with every repair appointment. And all you have to do is just give them a call at 844-EUROFIX. That's right, 844-EUROFIX, or you can just visit them online at myEurofix.com. That's myEurofix.com. But always tell them Blaine said you.
Blaine and Zach here on 104.5 The Zone. We got people that say that we disrespected each other. Blaine, can you believe that? In the YouTube, your mic's not on, by the way.
I love the dialogue.
Yeah,
and really, we were actually saying the same things, but it's really how the athlete is wired. I think what a lot of people just don't understand. Like I was just describing, like, let's say, what could be offensive to an athlete? Like, see, we're on air and on radio, and you never hear me say, "Oh man, that guy sucks. He's a horrible player." How can he suck when he's actually on a roster? He is a starter in the National Football League. Now, did he have a bad day? Now that can happen. But then the athlete is saying, "Man, I put in all this work from the day I was 6 all the way to now, and I'm on an NFL roster. And did I have a bad day? Absolutely." But then to take the connotation and say that, "Oh, you suck and you don't even deserve to be in the National Football League," is very offensive to the actual athlete. And that's what I'm trying to describe here. It's all about context when you're talking to the athlete, how you can actually tweak them, especially the quarterback, when you going in there saying you're seeing ghosts. What you really should be saying is like, "Hey, man, you're speed up your cadence. We need to get back to normalcy. We need to." This is why some coaches, they can't get the quarterbacks back because they probably are saying something like that. So it's the way you approach that.
It makes sense. Adam Gase was Sam Darnold's coach, and we know that Adam Gase was
right. And he was
something.
It was really. It was. Didn't he coach Peyton Manning?
Yeah, he was the quarterback coach for Peyton Manning. But when you kind of listen to Brian Callahan talk about it, it's like, right, Peyton Manning was the quarterback's coach.
Right, that's what I'm getting at. When you got a great player, I mean, how much coaching was he really doing? Hey, the guy at Ball State, he's the head coach there now. He was the quarterback's coach with Drew Brees. Yeah. How much coaching did he do? He'll say, none. He said Drew Brees did it all. He'd be there at 4 a.m.
We were essentially saying the same thing. I was just using the words that I've grown accustomed to, which now I know are not the correct words to use.
To the actual athlete, to be on air and everything else on TV, yes. But to actually say that to the athlete, you accomplish nothing. You're actually digging him into a deeper hole. You come to the sideline and say, "Hey, you're seeing ghosts." Huh? What are you talking about? That's not even a term that's even used by an athlete in the football world.
So what happens? Okay, let's go back to my original question before we went into it. NC State, if the blitzing from the 3-3-5 provides a little bit of issue for Nico, and he starts growing impatient or starts rushing his throws and all this stuff.
Say he starts seeing a ghost.
You want me to say? I
said not directly to the athlete.
Gotcha.
But on air, but that's not a term in the athletic world that is ever used.
You got me in a blender, Blaine.
In a meeting or in a setting where you're in a game and you're going to say you're seeing ghosts. Because what you're trying to do is be productive in the moment. They could maybe even say it on film, but you're never really going to use the word ghost.
All right.
You're just not going to use, not directly to the athlete.
I need to answer this question about Nico, because we never got around to it. How much can that affect the Tennessee Titans offense, Tennessee Volunteers offense, if maybe he's not as calm, cool, and collected when he starts seeing pressure as he was against UTC? So, I mean, could that be an advantage for that NC State team?
Well, that's hard to predict.
Okay.
We don't know until we actually see it happen. I mean, we don't know. I would guess that it wouldn't bother him.
Yeah.
But you just don't know until the player's actually in the moment. I'm a C guy. Let's see what he does in those moments. I would be 80% sure that he would be able to handle it. Now, if it's a tsunami, then that's a totally different, guys coming all over the place. Like if you play in Georgia, now that's a whole different animal. So I would say against NC State, he should be able to handle it.
Gotcha. It'll be interesting to see because that's the way it's, a lot's riding on this season for the University of Tennessee on Nico's shoulders. So and there has been nothing to show so far for him not to be the guy. But I am interested to see when he starts going up against defenses that can put pressure on him and maybe get him a little out of his comfort zone. How he reacts and how he responds. Right now, he's just very even-keeled.
How did Joe Milton do?
I didn't think he did very well.
But did you ask these same questions? You asked the same question?
I didn't ask the question because I already knew what Joe Milton was by, year 8 of Joe Milton or whatever it was. But I already knew what Joe Milton was before he even took a snap. We don't know what Nico is. So that's why I'm asking a hypothetical question. So let me ask you this. Your final prediction, how much do they win by?
Oh, yeah, I said before, I think they're going to win by 14 or more.
Yeah, I think I'm going with 10. I think right over that 9.5 line. I think I'd bet for Tennessee to cover that spread. Just real quick, I wanted to get your thoughts because it's not a fantastic slate of SEC games this week, but one game that does stand out is going to be Texas going to Ann Arbor to play Michigan, and Texas is favored by 7 points. What did you think about what do you think about that? Because that seems like a high spread, but Michigan had trouble with Fresno State, and Texas did not have trouble with theirs. They played Colorado State. So where are you at? Do you think that's too high, or do you think
what was it again?
7.5 or just
no,
7?
I think that's fine. Do we watch this? Who's the quarterback for Michigan? That end of story.
Yeah,
Let's go. Let's go.
That's about. Other than that, that's about the only exciting game on the roster is Texas and Michigan, and then you got UT and NC State.
It's in the big house, though.
There you go.
Don't disrespect the Michigan's big house.
Okay, when we come back after the break, we're going to dive into the Tennessee Titans versus Chicago Bears. No one's seeing ghosts on this show. I'm Zach. He's Blaine. This is Blaine and Zach on 104.5 The Zone.
What'd you say? Hey, this is Blaine Bishop, and I want to know if you ever heard about peptides. And peptides are shaking up the fitness world, and they are naturally occurring aminos in our bodies. And as we age, they start to decline. And at some point, they may need to be supplemented. This is why our workouts can stop being productive at the gym. And maybe you feel like you hit a wall, or perhaps you feel tired all the time. You may be struggling to stay awake in the evenings. If you had the thought that this is just a normal part of aging, it doesn't have to be that way. I started noticing energy levels low after I got off air. So I heard about peptides at the station for a long, long time. So I finally went to Edge Peptide to see what all the fuss was about. And I learned a lot about what was going on in my body from the blood panel they did. They customized a plan specific to my needs and what my body was lacking. And now I've noticed all the energy in the world, and the mental focus has been incredible. So when you go to Edge, you will know exactly what is going on inside your body and what it needs to get back to peak performance. So feel better from the inside out. So go to edgepeptide.com. That's edgepeptide.com, or you can just give them a call at 615-724-1878. That's 724-1878.
Hour number 2 here on Blaine and Zach on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. The chat is at each other's throat, Blaine. We have started a civil
Just
war
like we
in the
were.
chat.
Yes.
Yep. We've
Let's
started
go
a
to
civil war in
battle.
the chat. But that, hey, that's sports talk,
Who's that
right?
back
I mean,
there?
it's sports radio.
Oh,
you get two passionate guys trying to,
Absolutely.
who end up actually figuring out they're just saying the same thing in just different ways. Yeah. And that's good sports talk sometimes. Yeah. I enjoy it.
Except don't say you see ghosts.
There you go. There we go.
I'm the ghost that you saw.
Listen, we're going to go to your phones real quick. We got Ed in New Jersey, and he wants to talk about Traylon Burks.
Cherry Hill.
Ed, you're on with Blaine and Zach.
Are you from Cherry Hill?
No, Freehold. Close, though.
Oh, that's where I lived in Cherry Hill.
Okay, so first off, let me get this opportunity. I'm in my mid-50s, Blaine. I've seen every one of your snaps, so I just want to say thank you. I appreciate the way you went about it. So I also wanted to ask you about Traylon Burks and follow me to a real big hypothetical.
Okay.
What if Hopkins doesn't play and he has a big-time day? Is that enough to sway the coaching staff to have him eat into Hopkins, snaps when Hopkins is healthy, or to maybe design more packages for him? Like, how much can an impact have for one day, with the decisions Callahan has to make?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think that's a guess. I don't know. I think you would have just as good as opinion of me on that one. That's a tough call, because if it's me, I've always shown, if I was coaching, I'm showing loyalty to my guys. Just because one guy had a great day on one given day doesn't mean now he's eating into the time. Now, what it does say is I may rotate not just at that spot, but other spots on the receiving core of the three, that he may get more rotation in there and not just D-Hop spot, because that may be who he replaced on this day. So, actually, I may, I kind of look at things a little bit differently. I would want him to play actually, so I could to increase his trade value. That's kind of how I look at this part, because here's my thought process on Traylon Burks, and I like him as a person. I think he can be a good player, but guess what? We're 3 years in, and we still don't know the answer. And if you don't know the answer, he is not the answer. So if he shows me glimpses of light every now and then, guess what? I'm going to play into that, but I'm not going to go all in and say he is the replacement. So, no, I don't think he replaces him, but I would increase maybe him in the rotation.
And Ed was talking about maybe eating into the snap count.
He was just talking about D-Hops.
Right, so D-Hops. So I kind of look at it like this. We know that D-Hop has an MCL tear, and something that we were talking about. We don't know how the severity of it.
He said he tore it.
He said he tore it. And when it comes into week 1, week 2, week 3, if maybe DeAndre Hopkins is kind of like playing maybe like 5 or 10 snaps. He's just kind of there. He's active, but doesn't go out. Sometimes that happens. You make a player active and he doesn't go out. And Traylon Burks does show out. That may make you be more careful with the MCL tear with DeAndre Hopkins. It's not because he's better that they think he's better.
You slow play it.
It's not because they think he's better than DeAndre Hopkins, but maybe we'll give you a little extra rest on week 2 too, and week 3, because if we're winning games and you're performing and Traylon Burks is performing, we can bring you along a little slower. And then, man, when we get into the hunt, when we get into November and December and late October, that's when you'll see more DeAndre Hopkins, because he's been well rested, well healed up. So that's just kind of how I view it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. No doubt.
I do think he proposed an interesting conversation about Traylon Burks and DeAndre Hopkins, because obviously, this team is going to be in 11 personnel, and those guys right now, the way that they have described how they're going to run their offense is that they're going to run 11 personnel. When they run 11 personnel, it's going to be DeAndre Hopkins or Traylon Burks at the X receiver spot. So that technical number 1 receiver that's kind of on the line, lined up, or like right up on the line of scrimmage for the most part. And when you talk about this Bears defense, and we've talked a lot about this Bears defense, but I wanted to talk about the best way to maybe attack them besides just the screen game.
Okay, I want to stop. I want to ask you a question about Burks real quick. Has Burks beat out NWI?
If it was based, if this was a meritocracy based on merit,
I got you.
I would say no. But this has to do with upside. Like it's like who's the most athletic person on this team in their eyes? Who's the guy that provides you the most upside if he were to have the ball in his hands? Is Treylon Burks. I would say that if it would be a very short leash.
Stop.
That's
right
what
there.
they think.
Right. Okay. Got you. Now, he does have super athleticism, but it hasn't translated into a great football player.
Right. But there have been flashes, but they are very few and far between. But I think that sometimes coaches are, I think offensive coaches are tantalized by that idea.
No, I got you.
And I think that I think apparently, I have not been out to practice, but from people's reports, from what the coaches have said.
Don't make me AI you.
Yeah, no, well, I'm just saying what the coaches have said in the interviews, what Brian Callahan, every time he talks about Treylon Burks, is just like glowing reports.
And we
talk
talk about
glowing
practice.
reports. And we're talking about practice. I'm with you. I don't buy into the Treylon Burks hype, but the staff seems to provide a lot of opportunity for people to buy into that hype, is what I'm saying.
I think they do
Whether they're right or wrong,
right.
We'll see.
I think they did the same thing with Malik Willis. And I always thought it was about them hyping him up so they could trade him. And I really believe, I think they think that. Because if you are first round pick in this league, it very rarely ever happens. You go 2 years and we still haven't seen enough, even though he's had some bad luck with some injuries.
Let me ask you a question.
He should have shown more glimpses, and where I'm still hesitant that I don't even know if he's inside, outside. I don't know what translates in his athleticism in an actual game. And then they don't target him. I thought he would get more targets in the same game. Nope. Didn't happen.
So I trust NWI over Treylon Burks. I agree
and I'm
with
a
you
trustworthy
100%.
guy. I do too.
Okay, I agree with you 100%. But if this staff is just using all this stuff for trade bait, and they end up starting him in place of DeAndre Hopkins and he gets more snap counts, then I think we can safely say they actually believe what they're saying. It's not just trade bait, right? Because if you're just putting a guy up you don't start a guy if you don't think he's as good as the other guy, you don't start a guy just for trade bait purposes.
Well, no. You can't use D-Hop. Stop saying D-Hop is injured, and he can start another guy if the guy's injured.
But he could start NWI, not the guy that he doesn't even really believe in, right? If we all think that NWI is better, and they don't.
Well, you're talking about politics here. It's a first-round pick versus an undrafted player. They have to, or they look like ding-dongs. They have to start them.
So you think that Mike Vrabel looked like a ding-dong for keeping, putting NWI all that time?
No, but Burks was out there until he was injured. He still played Burks ahead of him, and he was just running clear-out routes for him.
Yeah.
NWI is consistent in his production, shows that he is. Burks hasn't shown any production. That's why I keep saying a first-round pick, and you haven't determined if he is that good yet, bye-bye.
Yeah.
It's that
but
3 years in.
Everybody is saying, because there's people in the chat too, everybody's saying that it's all trade. Everything about the practice was trade bait. Well,
is that what they're saying? I didn't see
that's what the chat's saying.
No, they're saying that now. I believe.
I'm saying it can't be trade bait if they're going to start him. Because then you would just start NWI if you didn't really believe in him and you didn't want him on your team.
Well, no, they're doing exactly what you said. They're enamored with the talent, and they draft him first round. And
that's why I don't think it's straight.
And they want to believe that he eventually will show it. But the time is ticking. That's why I say it could be trade bait, because if the time is ticking and he goes out here and he gets 2 catches for 15 yards and he gets to play a lot, what do you think is happening? Do you think he should then be trade bait?
I think they'd bench him for NWI if he went out there and did nothing, pretty much. And he had the opportunity to do a lot. You get what I'm saying? If DeAndre Hopkins doesn't play or plays only 10 snaps and he goes out there and only gets 2 for 15, then that's bad on Treylon Burks this time. I think they would bench him.
Well, why did they start Treylon Burks in the New York Saints game? And NWI was out there with the 2s and 3s
Because they
and
believe
4s.
he's the next guy up after DeAndre Hopkins.
You don't have to believe it. You are forced to because of the first-round pick.
No, not by year 3.
No. Here's what I'm saying. Okay, let's go back to the Malik Willis.
Yeah.
Why did they start him over Rudolph? What'd you say now? Because
they started him over Rudolph because they thought he earned it.
No, that is
That's
not
what
true.
they said.
No, that's what they said. You see, quit believing what people say, just like I told you on TV. He was not bad. It wasn't even a close race. And I kept saying on air that he is not competing for the 2 job.
And I fully believe that.
They were trying to trade him.
Yeah.
And what happened?
They trade him.
See, because they were trying to elevate. They signed a proven guy. This guy, Rudolph, was a proven player that started and won games in the national. There was never going to be a chance for Malik Willis to pass him or to compete with him.
Blaine, but you can't just play. If you play a guy that's not good.
We're talking about Rudolph.
We're talking about Traylon Burks and NWI. We're off Mason Rudolph. Malik Willis.
I'm using the example. It's the same thing.
I'm trying to get us back on track to talk about what the guy was talking about.
But prove me. You said that
that's one instance. There are many instances where that has not happened.
It's one instance that you have to use because it was this staff.
Okay.
It was this staff who said great things about Malik Willis.
Do you really think a staff is going to start a guy that they don't think is good over a guy that they think is good?
No, if they're even, you do go to the guy that's first.
But I think we both have seen enough film to think that that Traylon Burks and NWI is not even, though, right?
He's been ahead of him the whole time. So why was he ahead of him the whole time here this whole offseason and in preseason? Why was he ahead of him?
Because they're not looking for trade bait. They think Traylon Burks is better. That's what I'm saying.
But then that's why you just said the same thing about Malik Willis.
No, they never thought that Malik Willis was better than Mason Rudolph, or they wouldn't have signed him to a $3 million contract. Traylon Burks is an entirely different situation. It's not the same. All right. When we come back, we're going behind enemy lines. We're going up to the Windy City to talk Courtney Cronin of ESPN and ESPN Radio, who covers Chicago Bears. I'm Zach. He's Blaine. This is Blaine and Zach on 104.5.
Can't wait till they trade him.
It's NFL week, and FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, has a special offer to kick us off now through September 22nd. All FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. Just visit FanDuel.com/Zach. That's FanDuel.com/ZACH to download America's #1 sportsbook. Must be 21 and over and present in Tennessee. Full price of NFL Sunday Ticket will be automatically charged seasonally after free trial. No refunds. Terms, restrictions, and embargoes apply. Gambling problem? Call Tennessee Redline 1-800-889-9789. All right. We're about to go behind enemy lines with Courtney Cronin, but real quick, we forgot to get to the stat of the day. So whoever calls in with the answer to this question wins 2 free tickets to see Weezer at Bridgestone Arena on September 17th, 615-737-1045. The last time the Tennessee Titans played the Chicago Bears, the Titans won 24-17, and it was at home. But one of those touchdowns was a defensive touchdown. It was a 63-yard fumble return. You have to call in and tell Jackson behind the scenes who caused the fumble and who picked up the fumble for that 63-yard return. So 2 different players. Call in at 615-737-1045. But now we'll go to the phones, and we're going behind enemy lines to Courtney Cronin of ESPN Radio. Who covers Chicago Bears. And Courtney, I'll start right off the top. Caleb Williams is the most hyped Chicago rookie since fill in the blank.
We don't have her?
Do we?
She went silent.
Do not have her?
No. Well, you want to go to the caller?
We'll go to the caller while we get that sorted out. We'll go to Corey in Hendersonville who wants to talk about the new kickoff rule. Corey, you're talking to Blaine and Zach.
Hey, guys. So listening to the game last night here on The Zone, I heard Kurt Warner saying that he had talked with Mike McDaniel and that he had gotten the indication from McDaniel that a lot of teams were going to just kick it into the end zone and start from the 30. And we did see that a lot last night. I wanted to get y'all's thoughts on this kickoff and how you think it's going to play out through the season. Do you see a lot of coaches doing what McDaniel said he thinks that they're going to do? And how do you think the NFL would respond to that? Like, do you think they may try it again next year and maybe move it up to the 40 to encourage teams to actually, kick it to people as opposed to just kicking it in the end zone?
Thanks, Corey. What do you think, Blaine? Because that's been the big thing. A lot of people think that this new kickoff rule is not going to do what everybody wants it to do.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, if you got the kicker, make sure. But at some point, maybe they don't have the kicker, so you have to kick it to the edge of the goal line, and then they'll return. Because the advantages to the offense, it's really tough for those guys to take off and then shed blocks and make plays. So they're always going to get good field position. I think it's going to be continuing to be the same. That's what I would do. That would be my strategy if I have a good kicker. Kick it out the end zone, man. That we don't even want to return the ball.
All right, we got Courtney back on the line with us, of course, of ESPN. ESPN Radio covers the Chicago Bears. Courtney, Caleb Williams is the most hyped Chicago rookie since fill in the blank.
Oof, probably ever. There have been some rookies who have come in here. I don't think anybody had the same expectations, though, of Justin Fields, of Mitchell Trubisky, of any of these other quarterbacks who have been drafted in the first round to remedy all of these long-standing woes at the position. So, the quarterback position is always going to be the most hyped, and they've never drafted in the modern era of the NFL draft. They've never drafted a player number 1 overall. So I think it's the easy answer that he is the most hyped rookie coming in here ever.
George McCaskey, chairperson of the Bears, preached patience with Caleb Williams just a few days ago, but listen, we all know fans is short for fanatics. So just how much patience should fans have, and how much will they actually have with Caleb Williams' progression as a rookie over the course of his rookie season?
Well, his talent doesn't exactly help him in buying him time, right? Like Heisman Trophy winner from 2 years ago, just had his jersey retired yesterday at USC. The expectation is that there won't be as much of a breaking in process, which, fair or unfair, that comes with being the number 1 overall pick. So I think for someone like Caleb, naturally you have to understand that there will be times in games where it doesn't look great. It may not look great right away on Sunday when they're going against a defense that they don't know anything about. In reality, like you don't want to chase ghosts. That's something that Caleb's talked about, and it's something that offensive coordinator Shane Waldron's going to really have to make sure he's staying on his quarterback. Just play with clean eyes, play with clean feet. Don't think something's going to be there, because it's all of like the guesswork on a defense that is going to probably blitz him a lot, but you don't have a lot of film to go off of. So that's going to be part of his learning curve in week 1. But so much of this for Caleb is going to be leaning on the guys around him, which he's got a great skill group, whether it's the 3 receivers who each had 1,000 yards last year, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen at the NFL level, Roma Dunze leading all FBS teams in receiving. And, of course, there's a good backfield here. DeAndre Swift, I just had a chance to talk to him a few minutes ago in the locker room. The role he's going to have here, hopefully, or what he's hoping, is going to be like what it was in Detroit, where, it's not taking the ball out of his hands at the goal line. It's relying on him in more passing situations than he did during his one season in Philadelphia. And that's a good benefit for a rookie quarterback to have all of that around him, to know that you don't have to do it all on your own. You don't have to go into hero mode and score 35 points the way that he probably felt he had to at USC, just based on the, how bad the defense was. And, even last year too, like his Heisman Trophy season, they were 3rd in offense, 94th in defense. Last year, the offensive line was not very good and the team wasn't very good. And, he had a situation where it all fell on him if they were going to win games or if they were going to lose games. So that's not the case here. And that helps a rookie quarterback along to know that it doesn't have to all be on his shoulders from game one.
We're on with Courtney Cronin of ESPN and ESPN Radio, who covers Chicago Bears.
Well, Courtney, thanks for coming on. What does our guy, Kevin Byard, look like in practice, and has he talked about playing his old team?
Yeah, I just spoke with him in the locker room about 20 minutes ago, and I think this is good that this one's out of the way, week 1 versus week 8 or something, where, of course, there's a natural build up there for a player who spent the majority of his career in one place. And you can really tell that he has so much love still for that organization, giving him his start, giving him leading him to a career year a couple of years ago with those 8 interceptions. And this one means a lot. Certainly it'd be different, probably a heavier feeling if you were playing this game in Nashville, but you can really tell how important this one is. And it's not just for the nostalgia and, the handshakes and hugs he'll have before the game. It's, this is a place that's giving him a chance this could very well be the last team he plays with. And if it all goes according to plan, it will be. He's 31 years old, or early 30s. And for a safety to have the durability that he has, it's something the Bears lacked at the position. His predecessor, Eddie Jackson, was hurt a lot, unfortunately. And that's what led him to being cut from the Bears and why the Bears wanted to upgrade that spot opposite Jaquan Brisker. So I think Kevin understands that. He really takes pride in the fact that he doesn't miss practices, which a couple weeks ago when he was dealing with an injury, and he's not on the injury report, but like a couple weeks ago, it was really bizarre to see him on the bike during practice, because this is somebody who, I believe, only for the birth of his kids, the only time he ever missed practice was for something not even injury related, but he brings stability to that back end. And arguably the strength of this team is that secondary. I don't think you're going to find too many people who look at this Bears team and say that unit was not solidified when Kevin Byard came in, and that's not the strength of this team.
No doubt about it, Courtney. You talked about Caleb Williams there, and I want to talk a little bit about his leadership. I know he's captain already, but man, seems like a guy who's ahead of his time and just a real mature, already built for this moment to be a starting quarterback in the National Football League. Kind of take us through some of his leadership qualities and what he's shown already.
It's kind of remarkable, because we all know what the narrative was about Caleb coming in. There was so much unknown, but I think it's just the day and age of the social media vacuum where something spreads very quickly, and there might be a quote that's taken and people run with it, and in terms of what they believe to be the intent behind what his dad was saying about the rookie wage scale and the stuff in that GQ article more than a year ago. I think that Caleb has been as good as advertised on the field and from a leadership perspective, because obviously players are going to adapt to whoever their quarterback is, whoever it is. Like trades are hard. And when Justin Fields was traded out of here, I'm sure that really, not that there were hurt feelings, but there were guys who were sad because Justin was pretty loved by this locker room. Caleb had a pretty high bar that he had to reach in terms of getting guys to follow him, getting guys to buy into his ability as a leader and as a quarterback. And very quickly he did that. And it's a tough balance to strike, because you're being told as a rookie, hey, we want you to listen. We want you to, absorb as much information as you can. But in that same moment, you have to be the leader of this team. I don't know many people who could do that successfully right away, which is why so often you see personalities get drained from these guys when they come into the league, when they're rookies and the expectations are on them to be the end-all be-all from day one. A lot of times that's what causes guys to go into their shell. And you never see that with Caleb, because being a franchise quarterback is so much more than, throwing for 300 yards consistently, which Justin Fields never did, or, leading teams on game-winning drives, or being the reason your team wins a game versus not winning a game. Being a franchise quarterback is being the front-facing figure, the face of your team. And he's shown that he's capable of that in a city like this. This is not a small market, guys. This is number 3 market in the country. It gets loud here. When the team sucks, it gets really loud here. And that's what it's been like the last couple of years since I've been covering the team and since I grew up around this team, throughout the last 30 years. And that's something that I don't think just anybody could handle. And how he has handled it from the onset of getting here at the end of April, knowing that it was his team from day one, I think speaks volumes to how prepared he was for this moment.
No doubt about it, Courtney. So what are the expectations, I guess, lastly for me, guys in the NFC North, right? With Detroit, Green Bay, the expectation is going into the season, get a wild card or playoffs?
Yeah, no, it feels like a wild card team. And whether that happens or not, it's going to be, a lot of it's reliant upon how do they play in those games against Green Bay, against Detroit, against the 2 powers that they have to go through in their own division, when all of those games happen from weeks 11 through 18. It's a gauntlet at the end of the season, which is why the Bears really need to take care of business, get off to a fast start weeks 1 through 10 when they face a lot of younger quarterbacks in the playing field. Frankly, when you have teams like the Patriots and Arizona and Washington, Tennessee in the mix, that's a much fairer test for a team that's ready to show that it can move out of the rebuild category and into the category of contenders. Now, how they answer that test, we won't know until, the end result of week 1. But I do believe that this is a 9 or 10 win team, even with a rookie quarterback, because this defense is that good. They really are. The way that they played the back end of the season, the additions that they've made, the fact that is here for the long haul. Jalen Johnson's here for the long haul. Their 2 linebackers are as well. They're a really good group, and they've been a thorn in Caleb Williams' side for the better part of the last 50 days since training camp started, and that's to his benefit, but it's also to the benefit of the team overall, knowing that if there is a day that this team struggles because the offense can't get going, you have a really good defense that can, is predicated off forcing turnovers that hopefully, for their sake, will be the reason that they can pull out stops and win games, unlike some of the moments that we saw last season where it didn't feel like they were capable of doing that.
Preparing a rookie for his first regular season is difficult enough on its own, but the Bears staff also has an extra degree of difficulty to contend with so many new players on this Titans defense, but not knowing explicitly what the scheme will be. So how tall of a task has that been this week for the staff and their preparation, and especially preparing Caleb for this moment in time? Week 1 debut, you're at home, all that wrapped into all of this, and not really knowing what to expect from your first time out of the gate against this Tennessee Titans defense.
Yeah, that's the part that makes this game so unique, because it's not just that it's a first-time defensive play caller in Denard Wilson. It's a first-time, it's Brian Callahan's offense. And, yeah, I know he was with Zach Taylor in Cincinnati, and you can draw the natural ties, but he wasn't calling plays in Cincinnati. So there's more, I guess I would say, more prep work, but also coaches know that they can't be chasing ghosts either, that you have to, believe, the way that everybody does in the NFL. You're set on principles. Everybody learns from each other. There's different systems that, continue to pop up. So I think that offensively, they have a really good idea of what, certainly it's a very talented group of skill players around Will Levis, but they also know that there's tendencies and principles from the Cincinnati system that will probably end up showing up pretty frequently when they play in Chicago. But defensively, it seems like a big unknown. I know that you would expect for a rookie quarterback, if you're going against him, you want to blitz him, you want to see a lot of different looks and try to throw him off as much as you can. But the idea that they want to press these receivers, when you have 2 of the best receivers and DJ Moore and Keenan Allen beating press coverage. I don't know whether that was just lip service the other day or if that was truly giving away the game plan, but it's something that they've got to anticipate an aggressive approach from Tennessee, and certainly no one's taking, I know where a lot of the predictions are, no one on this team is taking Tennessee lightly, knowing that week one is filled with unknowns and that there is something to be said about a rookie quarterback and expecting that it might take a minute for Caleb to get comfortable and that it's not going to look perfect from the very onset of this game.
It seems like this is the Caleb Williams show here, especially in Chicago. I'm sure around national media as well. Everybody's talking about Caleb Williams this, Caleb Williams that. But there is another first-round pick, and it's Rome Odunze, who was my personal favorite wide receiver coming out of this class. What has his offseason been like in transitioning? Because I know that him and Caleb Williams, even before the draft, were working out together and, going out and throwing the ball and meeting up for workouts like that and stuff. So is that extra advantage of their chemistry? What's their chemistry been like now that they're, putting on pads, playing against the Bears defense in practice, and what do you expect from Rome Odunze this season?
I mean, the benefit for both of them is that they're both coming in, or they came in not knowing anything about this offense, and they got to learn it together, where it's, for a rookie quarterback, if he was only surrounded by veteran players, I think that would be a little intimidating of, why are they picking it up so quickly, and how come it's taking me a little bit longer? And, of course, there's more responsibility on the quarterback who needs to know every position and what every position needs to do. But Rome has been as good as advertised, and he's not a normal number 9 overall pick because he comes to a receiving core that has such talent in DJ Moore and Keenan Allen, where cracking that lineup kind of seems difficult in theory. Like, he comes in as the number 3 receiver, which on any other team, he's probably your number 1. He's probably Malik Neighbors if he ends up in New York, if they ended up changing their game plan and going with Rome Odunze over Neighbors. And that's what you would expect because he's that talented. But in a place like Chicago, where they don't have great receiver history, they just don't. Johnny Morris, the guy who is the all-time receiving leader here with just over 5,000 yards in his career, he came to practice one day, and it's this older gentleman who, just, kind of one of these things doesn't look like the other, doesn't really fit in. Watching them take a picture together with the receiving core now versus this guy who you would never look at and say, oh, that was the Bears' all-time leading receiver. There's so much ground to be made up with here. And I do think that someone like Rome coming in can establish himself very early on, that it won't be a need to ease him in because the Bears know that he came from a pretty complex system at Washington that required him to do a lot. And that's what they're expecting him to do here. They can line him up a bunch of different places. They can put him in a situation where he can thrive early on. It's just going to be a matter of, I don't think there really will need to be a number 1 receiver in this offense. I think there's plenty of talent to go around that any of these guys on any given day could be the number 1.
What should Titans fans be worried about this offense? Because, there is a rookie rookie quarterback back there. You have an aging veteran in Keenan Allen, and that's what fans are going to kind of point at. But really, I feel like DJ Moore has flown under the radar. And to me, that's the guy that you really have to be leery of if you're the Tennessee Titans defense. Where do you land on where is the biggest mismatch between the Bears offense and the Titans defense?
DJ's a good place to go with that because you're right. He is underrated. And I don't think he cares. He just signed a nice deal. Was it a record-setting break-the-market deal? No, but his guarantees were. And he's comfortable. He's comfortable in who he is. He's played with, I think it's upwards now of 12 different quarterbacks since he got into the league in 2018, and he's produced with every single one of them. So that should show you. He's a security blanket. He is the guy in this offense that has, been consistent from the moment he got here a year ago via the trade. And they need him. They need him in a lot of different ways. And that could just be you dump the ball off to him. He takes a 5-yard out route and he goes 60 yards to the house the way he did in Washington. Or it could mean that you're using him on the outside, utilizing his speed to your advantage. He's so versatile, but because there's so many other guys that are ahead of him just in terms of the fame of receivers in the NFL, we don't talk about DJ Moore enough. He can be a game wrecker. The Bears have seen it on limited occasion just because the offense was not equipped for him to be in that spot, frankly. a lot last season, but I guarantee you this season that there will be more of those moments than not for him.
Well, enjoy that beautiful, was it 63 degrees at kickoff in Chicago on Sunday? Is that what I've heard?
Yeah, it should be a nice fall day.
What? Oh, man, I'm jealous. So enjoy that beautiful weather on Sunday. That is Courtney Cronin of ESPN Radio, who covers Chicago Bears. Appreciate her. She also has a great article up that I didn't get to ask her about because we're pushed up against the time, but it's talking about George McCaskey's side gig as a youth umpire coach for youth baseball. So I go to ESPN.com, go to Courtney R. Cronin on Twitter, and make sure you guys read that because it's a really great article on ESPN. When we come back, we'll give you our final thoughts on the Titans versus Bears game. I'm Zach. He's Blaine. This is Blaine and Zach on 104.5 The Zone.
And go. Hey, Tennessee. Summer's in full swing, and Cool Ray's here to make sure your home is ready for all the fun and the sun. And we've got some sizzling deals that will keep you comfortable and worry-free all season long. So ensure your family stays hydrated and healthy with free water quality testing, because nothing beats a refreshing drink of pure water on a hot summer day. And Cool Ray also offers a $149 main sewer line camera inspection. And right now, they also offer 15% off whole home dehumidifiers, as well as $500 off whole home generators. So let Cool Ray take care of your home so you can focus on family memories. All you got to do is give them a call today and take advantage of these scorching hot deals. Cool Ray, your trusted partner for a cool and comfortable Tennessee summer. And visit coolray.com for more details, or Cool Ray, keeping Tennessee cool, plumbing right, and always lights bright.
on 104.5 The Zone.
You about to bring
Sponsored
the
by
heat.
All Four Seasons Garage Door.
I just saw a ghost.
Don't say the G word in here. Listen.
Courtney Cronin, she said it multiple times.
She said it twice.
Yeah, she did. I about
saw
jumped out my chair. Lady, no, just kidding. It's almost like she was listening to us and said that on purpose.
Wanted to throw in that word a couple of different times. All right. Everybody does kind of a keys for the game or expectations and all this. And Blaine, I just really want to know, it's the first game in a long time that we have seen Will Levis in a regular season action. And it's an entirely new offense, an entirely new defense, a lot of moving parts that we've never seen before. What's that like? Like, it feels like going into the last few seasons, you just kind of knew what to expect. You kind of knew the game plan. And if they can do this, they can do that. Feels like people can say there's keys to the game and there's like, or say that, whoever, as long as you don't turn over the ball and all this stuff, because we don't really know what the keys to this game are because we don't really know what to expect, right?
They're very true. Very true. I would always feel uncomfortable just off the jump once I became a veteran in this league after 3 years. The first game I never liked because I was a film junkie, and I'd love to study film, and I had a photographic memory. So every time they lined up, I knew instantly the 3 plays they're going to run. And so when you come into a season, they always make tweaks to their offense or their defense, and you're just not always sure, and I couldn't play as fast as I really wanted to. And so that's how I would feel if I'm sitting on the Bears side, because they got 2 new coaches really on offense and defense as coordinators, as well as the head coach. But there's always trick plays, things they're trying to set up. They had the whole offseason get prepared for this first game. So I never really like. That's why you see so many awkward games here in the
sloppy
first week.
Games, right? Like
sloppy,
last night.
Awkward to, sometimes it doesn't even tell you what teams are going to be good this year. You'll see, let's say a bottom feeder type team blow out a really good team that you thought was going to be really good, and they end up being good. But that first week, they just weren't on top of it. And I think some of that has to do with not playing a lot in preseason and so forth. So, man, going into the first game, you got to kind of play everything straight up and honest and then just try to play the game. But I never felt fully comfortable in the week 1, for me personally. Even once I got to be in the league 5, 6, 7 years, it's just that first game, just don't accept. And then you want to make sure you're in game shape. You can't duplicate playing a game until you actually playing one. So there's another level or layer of that that you know how to make sure you get used to.
The Tennessee Titans over the last few years have been known for slow starts and have been known for not scoring in the second half.
Oh, don't get me. You trying to get me going again for this ghost stuff.
But what I'm saying is that what's more important to a team in a game overall, or maybe in general, because they've been all emphasizing we want to get off to a fast start. We need to score first. These scripted plays and all this stuff. But in a game like this that could be a dogfight, we both think they could be really close. Mm-hmm. Second half scoring has been a bigger bugaboo, in my opinion, than anything.
It's true.
And I guess my question is, are you looking for, in this first game, maybe not a perfect game,
no,
but at least a competent game plan in both the first and second half? Isn't that really what you need to see, even if it results in maybe not the points that you were expecting or looking for? Or where are you at on that?
Yeah, because that could happen. Because the Bears defense is pretty freaking good now. So we may not see a 28, 30-point type game. It could be more low scoring and a tight game throughout. But I want to see potentially what it can be, and just the refreshing feel of a competent offense where you're seeing them set up plays even though they're not making a lot of yardage, but you can see the setup. So when you say the scripted plays, sometimes they do the scripted plays and then there are 6 plays and they're out. They punt. Well, they also saw what you're doing to your form of attack on defense. So now they'll come back and make adjustments, no different than when you start off the second half. So I think it's going to be refreshing, but I think it's going to be a really tight game, and I'm really nervous because the unexpected deal is, what are the Bears going to do with their starting quarterback? And when I say that, I'm talking about, well, you got a defensive coordinator as your head coach. Use those guys lean into running the football more and then throwing later or when they have to, trying to protect the quarterback. I don't know if he thinks that way going into this game. Does he think that with the weapons that they have, and tight end included, and with the running back and all the receivers, will he say, hey, man, we can throw the ball. I'm comfortable with my quarterback.
And listen,
if he makes
Shane
a mistake.
Waldron did that same thing with Geno Smith, right? Geno Smith was built on efficiency, not athleticism, but that Geno Smith renaissance in Seattle was built on the run game, having really good wide receivers to throw to, and just making really good sound decisions and being efficient with the football in your hand. And let's be honest, rookies sometimes, more often than not, really don't make those good decisions right off the gate.
Yeah. So hopefully he makes some mistakes here or there and it costs him the game at the end, and that'll be the difference maker. But we don't know until we actually see him play and see if he can stay within the realms of the offense. And when I say that, I'm talking about even with him scrambling. Does he throw the ball on time, or does he hold on to the ball because he's unsure and then that causes a sack, causes fumble? Those are the things you're looking for to do against him, because you disguised and deceived him at times because he hadn't seen anything like that in the National Football League, playing basic coverages there. And also on the defensive side, man, that slot guy, that Kyler Gordon, oh my, he's, and let alone the other players they have up front, Sweat and Jalen Johnson. So they've got some players. So this is going to be a good one. I'm hoping we squeak it out.
I got Titans winning by 10 points. What about you?
10 points?
I'm going big, baby. New era.
What's the score?
10-0. No, I'm just kidding. It is. We're gonna go 20-10.
20-10.
Yeah.
I'm going 24-20 Titans.
There we go. 2 Titans victories noted here. That's been the end of the week. Game day on Sunday. 3HL is up next. I'm Zach. He's Blaine. This is Blaine and Zach on 104.5 The Zone. And in the meantime,
we won't see ghosts in between time.
Peace.